They say Lagos was built by one man, the Jagaban of Boko. But is that true? Is Bola Tinubu really the architect of modern Lagos? Or is this a myth shaped by politics, propaganda, and perception? Lagos, a city of chaos and brilliance, dust and gold, where over 20 million dreams rise and clash every morning. Some say it's the beating heart of Nigeria, others call it a land of hustlers. But ask who built Lagos, and the debate gets complicated. Was it the Portuguese, the British, the Awori settlers, or the modern architects of democracy? Some will say it was Tinubu. But the truth, like Lagos traffic, is layered. Long before traffic lights and Third Mainland Bridge, the story of Lagos began in the quiet rhythm of the waves. The name Lagos was first given by Portuguese traders in the 15th century, who called it Lago de Caramo. But before them, the land already had its people, the Aworis, said to have settled in the area over 600 years ago, long before the arrival of Europeans. The Aworis were originally from Ile-Ife, led by Ogunfuminire, who founded Isheri. Over time, their small settlements expanded into what is today known as Lagos mainland. Lagos, known originally as Eko, was not always Nigeria's bustling economic capital. It began as a fishing settlement of the Awori people, an ethnic subgroup of the Yoruba. For centuries, the Oba of Lagos ruled over a thriving indigenous kingdom that had trade ties with the Benin Empire. By the 15th century, Portuguese merchants arrived, naming it Lagos after a coastal town in Portugal. But in 1861, Britain annexed Lagos, transforming it into a crown colony. Lagos became the epicenter of colonial administration, trade, and political evolution. But Lagos as a port city became known to the outside world through trade. First palm oil and spices, then sadly, slaves. The British annexed Lagos in 1861, turning it into a colonial possession. That colonial heritage left a deep imprint, from architecture to legal systems and administration. By the time Lagos became Nigeria's capital in 1914, it had already taken shape as a strategic center of commerce and control. Colonialism brought both infrastructure and deep scars. Roads, ports, and railways were laid, largely to export resources. Lagos became the capital of colonial Nigeria and later independent Nigeria in 1960. As the population exploded, so did the challenges of governance. Fast forward to the post-independence years. Between 1967 and 1975, Brigadier Mobolaji Johnson served as the first military governor of Lagos State. Under his leadership, Lagos saw critical infrastructure projects like the Lagos-Badagry Expressway. His tenure laid a solid foundation. He was succeeded by other military administrators like Commodore Ebitu Ukiwe and Rear Admiral Dubuisi Kanu, who maintained stability but had limited impact on structural transformation due to the nature of military rule. After Nigeria gained independence in 1960, Lagos remained the capital. Leaders like Obafemi Awolowo, Tafawa Balewa, and Yakubu Gowon introduced policies that shaped the urban identity of Lagos. But military coups and civil war disrupted progress. Lagos became overcrowded, underfunded, and chaotic. In 1991, the capital moved to Abuja. Many thought Lagos would decline. Instead, it exploded in population and ambition. Even though Abuja became the official capital, Lagos never lost its pulse. It remained Nigeria's financial engine, growing uncontrollably, sometimes chaotically, as more people poured in from every part of the country to find their own piece of hope. Enter the era of military rule, followed by Nigeria's return to democracy in 1999. That was when Bola Tinubu, then a former senator, emerged as the civilian governor of Lagos State. His tenure from 1999 to 2007 marked the beginning of a political dynasty that would reshape how Lagos was governed and how it was perceived. By the 1990s, Lagos was facing a crisis: poor roads, collapsing institutions, no working transportation system. Enter Bola Tinubu. Tinubu inherited a broken Lagos. Civil servants were unpaid, tax revenues were low, and the federal government, under President Obasanjo, had moved most attention to Abuja. But Tinubu was determined to create a functioning, sub-national entity. He restructured the state's revenue system, beefed up the Lagos Internal Revenue Service, LIRS, and in just a few years, internally generated revenue skyrocketed from about 600 million nairas a month to over 7 billion nairas. Today, Lagos generates over 40 billion monthly, the highest of any state in Nigeria. That's a legacy Tinubu defenders point to. He implemented bold tax reforms, partnering with a private firm, AlphaBeta, to boost internally generated revenue, IGR. Lagos went from collecting 600 million nairas monthly to over 8 billion naira by 2007. He also created several new local governments, or LCDAs, to improve administration and grassroots control. That decision caused a political war with the federal government, and for years, Lagos was denied federal allocation. But it forced the state to become self-reliant, and some would say strong.
Method of financing, but this is what, this is an innovation, and equally the standard of this building that we are bringing is another pace-setting program for those schools. The funding is not there to take everything in one go, but by managing a good cash management method, we are not going to owe nobody, and we are not going to abandon no project.
He established the Lagos State Traffic Management Authority, LASTMA, created LAMATA, and launched the Bus Rapid Transit, BRT system, the first of its kind in West Africa. He also focused on waste management, housing, and urban renewal, laying the foundation for projects like Eco Atlantic and the Lekki Free Trade Zone. Tinubu's supporters call him a visionary. They credit him with setting Lagos on a path to economic independence. Some argue his real legacy isn't just infrastructure, it's institutional capacity building. But critics aren't silent. Many question AlphaBeta's role, a firm allegedly linked to Tinubu that has profited enormously from tax collection. Some believe his influence has created an entrenched political dynasty that dominates Lagos politics till today. However, Tinubu's critics argue that behind his governance achievements lay a troubling concentration of political power. Over the years, Tinubu became the kingmaker of Lagos. Successive governors, including Babatunde Fashola, Akinwunmi Ambode, and Babajide Sanwo-Olu, all owed their political rise to Tinubu. He was no longer just a former governor. He became the godfather of Lagos politics. But each governor also added their own stroke to the canvas of Lagos. Fashola, who served from 2007 to 2015, is widely praised for his visible infrastructure projects. Under his tenure, Lagos saw a major cleanup. Roads were expanded, the BRT system was launched, and the state took on a more organized appearance. Many Lagosians remember him as a disciplined, technocratic leader. But even his reign was not without criticism. His tenure saw mass demolitions and evictions, especially in slum areas like Makoko, raising questions about urban gentrification and the rights of the poor. Ambode came next in 2015, riding the wave of APC's dominance. A technocrat with a background in finance, he continued infrastructure work and added new initiatives like the redesign of Oshodi and the launch of major flyovers. But his tenure was cut short. In a shocking move, Tinubu's camp denied him a second term. Why? Political insiders say he didn't align. Others say he was too independent. Either way, the decision sent a message. Tinubu's influence in Lagos was total. Sanwo-Olu, the current governor, emerged from that crisis. His administration has been marked by a tech-forward image and ambitious projects like the Blue Rail Line and the Lekki Deep Sea Port. But he has also faced significant pushback, especially after the End SARS protests of 2020, which culminated in the tragic Lekki tollgate incident. His administration was accused of complicity and silence, damaging the trust of many young Lagosians. Despite the enormous influence Tinubu has wielded in Lagos for over 2 decades, the 2023 presidential election showed cracks in the empire. For the first time, Lagos, Tinubu's stronghold, did not go to him. Peter Obi of the Labour Party won the state in a shock upset, especially among the youth and middle class. It was a moment that showed Lagos is changing, fast. Critics say his hold on the state's economy is too tight. Companies allegedly linked to his allies dominate revenue collection and infrastructure contracts. AlphaBeta Consulting, often cited in these allegations, has been accused of monopolizing tax collection under questionable terms. Lawsuits and whistleblower accounts have cast a shadow on how public funds are managed.
To the PDP talkatives. They commenced this road. They started it. And one of their front runners today collected enough. One of them who wants to be governor today collected 379 million for 4 kilometers of job. Let Fashola Williams come and answer our query. We will tell the public which one. I could listen to their chairman making rubbish or substantiated statements in the paper. I could see some of their candidates making foolish or substantiated claims. Because they are so empty upstairs, they lack the knowledge of economics and fund management. They call other people fraudulent and mismanagers because that is their stock in trade. They are failures ab initio from the beginning to the end. They have always been noted for mismanagement, failures, mismanagement. As their candidates, their front runner, where is our 76 million? And how do you spend 376 million for 4 kilometers, Mr. Fashola Williams?
Supporters, however, point to Tinubu's foresight, how he laid the foundation for a modern Lagos. They argue that without his reforms, Lagos would have collapsed under the weight of its population and decay. They say he empowered technocrats like Fashola and created continuity in governance, something rare in Nigerian politics. However, critics argue that Tinubu's achievements came with a growing culture of political godfatherism. After leaving office, he wielded enormous influence over the political machinery of Lagos, deciding who became governor and which policies were prioritized. His political structure, the so-called Lagos political dynasty, led to accusations that Lagos was no longer governed by the people, but by a single man's inner circle. This dynamic came to light in 2015 when Akinwumi Ambode was elected governor. Ambode focused heavily on infrastructure, constructing roads, bridges, and laying the groundwork for the Blue Line light rail. His administration oversaw projects like the Oshodi Transport Interchange and initiated the Lagos State Employment Trust Fund. Yet, despite these efforts, Ambode was denied a second term. Many observers point to Tinubu's disapproval and internal party politics as the cause. Ambode's fall was a public reminder of how political loyalty often outweighed performance. His successor, Babajide Sanwo-Olu, emerged as the APC's new face in 2019. Sanwo-Olu inherited a city with massive debts and high expectations. His administration has focused on completing the Blue Rail Line, tackling flooding, and upgrading digital infrastructure. But critics question whether he is truly in charge or simply another loyalist carrying out orders from Bodiyon. Tinubu's political base, the shadow of godfatherism continues to hover over Lagos. Detractors argue that critical decisions, budgets, appointments, even urban planning, are approved through informal power networks rather than democratic processes. Supporters, however, say that Tinubu's centralized control has brought continuity and avoided the chaos seen in other Nigerian states. To them, he's not a godfather, but a visionary strategist. Still, in the 2023 general elections, the political tide shifted. Peter Obi, the presidential candidate of the Labour Party, won Lagos State, defeating Tinubu in his supposed stronghold. It was a shocking moment. Many saw it as a protest vote, a rejection of political monopolies, and a call for fresh leadership. Despite its challenges, Lagos has seen undeniable transformation. Yet the question remains, has it reached its full potential? The city still suffers from poor urban planning, inequality, housing shortages, and environmental degradation. Many of its neighborhoods lack basic amenities. Roads flood after every rain. Power supply remains unstable. These are not just failures of policy, but consequences of a governance model where loyalty can matter more than merit, and decisions are made behind closed doors. Some argue Tinubu built Lagos, but the truth is more complex. Lagos was shaped by centuries of trade, migration, and colonial and post-colonial governance. Tinubu restructured the finances and created a system of political succession, but he didn't build Lagos from scratch, nor did he do it alone. He built a legacy, for better or worse. Lagos was not built in a day. It wasn't built by one man. It is the sum of ancient kingdoms, colonial legacies, failed policies, and daring reforms. Bola Tinubu didn't build Lagos, but he reshaped it. He branded himself as the architect of modern Lagos. But the truth is, Lagos is bigger than any one man. So who really built Lagos? Was it the Aworis, who first settled it, the Portuguese who named it, the British, who developed its early infrastructure, or the modern governors who manage its chaotic growth? Maybe it's all of them. Maybe it's none of them. Maybe Lagos is built every day by the Danfo driver in Yaba, the market woman in Mushin, the tech founder in Yaba, and the Okada man weaving through traffic. Lagos is not a monument to one man. It's a living organism, beautiful, broken, corrupt, and creative. It belongs to no one and everyone. As the 21st century rolls on, the battle for the soul of Lagos continues, politically, economically, and culturally. Will it remain under the grip of one political family? Or will new voices emerge? That's a question only time and the people can answer.